Welcome back to Bloomberg's Space Race. I'm Ed Ludlow.
And I'm Alex Steele. The race for space isn't just a battle among billionaires or a contest for investors. It's a competition between countries.
We think that a very important aspect of the space economy, from both the dollars and cents and the TAM, but also from the national security aspect, is what China's doing in space. And they've made it a very big priority to develop their capabilities in space.
Russia and China recognized a decade ago our dependency and advantage in space and have been investing billions of dollars and a great deal of energy in applying their space technology to space warfare. And to be blunt about it, anti-satellite weaponry. We have not done that.
Tory Bruno is the president and CEO of United Launch Alliance, or ULA, a joint venture formed 15 years ago between Boeing and Lockheed Martin to provide launch services for government and commercial customers. Its track record is 140 successful launches and 0 failures.
We've always had this peaceful high ground where we could cooperate in space, we could use space in various ways, and the assets were never under threat. And today, I'm here to tell you that they absolutely are under threat. Russia and China have developed a wide variety of anti-satellite weapons that are in fact already deployed.
Many analysts forecast that the militarization of space will become a major source of growth in the sector as the US expands its budget for defense research and development with the advent of its new Space Force.
I think some military applications in space are somewhat inevitable.
98% of all weapons ordnance, according to our aerospace and defense team, is space dependent. And we think, at least this so far, that this is apolitical. That regardless of the administration, space is seen as existential.
Space is now a warfighting domain. We haven't had a new warfighting domain in 100 years, since World War I, when air was introduced. That's a major sea state change.
In the near term, the moon is critical territory as countries jockey for strategic advantages in space. The next big prize is Mars, but getting there is more challenging.
Mars is a long way off. The moon is only 3 days off. Mars, if you go with conventional propulsion, you're talking about 8-10 months to get there, at least a year to stay on the surface, and then 8 to 10 months coming back. That's a long time.
How do we make sure we can keep our people physically and psychologically well on the journey? There's going to be a lot of learning going through all those aspects of the mission that then gets us ready for this 3-year mission, 3 years going all the way to Mars and then having somebody safely come back. I want to try that out on the moon first before I send people to Mars.
While countries race towards the moon and Mars, it may not be long before the rest of us have our chance to go to space.
Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic recently received full approval from the FAA to take commercial customers to space. A seat on Blue Origin's 11-minute New Shepard spaceflight sold at auction for $28 million. And for a fraction of that price, a company called Space Perspective will offer 6-hour rides over the stratosphere in a luxury balloon. Book now for trips starting in 2024. The first space hotel, Voyager Station, is in the planning stages, and passengers might someday arrive there on Boeing's Starliner.
Should people want to maybe have their own capsule in their own livery, like we sell airplanes, we think there's all kinds of business possibilities in the future.
So when we think of space tourism, we think of it in 2 ways. How could it then parlay into transportation? That's where we find there's the most investor interest, and if you're willing to surrender to the long horizon needed to see it through, where they may be the greatest reward. But the other factor of space tourism is the public support, the visibility of live streaming these events and getting the general public behind it and getting our children interested in it.
And then there's Elon Musk's Starship project, which investor Chad Anderson thinks could be a game changer.
This is a vehicle that is fully reusable and is enormous. It can take so much capacity to orbit. It can be refueled in orbit and go into farther destinations. This is the vehicle that's going to take us to the moon, likely before NASA is able to do that.
The Starship can carry 100 metric tons and as many as 100 passengers. It's 160 feet high with a 30-foot diameter.
It's an enormous vehicle, and it's so low cost. I mean, they're talking about a cost of like $5 million per launch. When Starship comes online, I mean, this is an enormous vehicle that you could pay to outfit in whatever way you want, bring up all of your friends and family and do, and have a hotel in space, stay for as long as you want and come back down. Or medical, research institutions, whatever, can outfit it however they want, pay to outfit it and launch it. And it seems like you could do that and still save money based on what we're doing today.
Space is the kind of topic that turns hard-nosed investors into wide-eyed fans. We hope that you enjoyed our exploration of the business of space. Stay tuned to Bloomberg Television and Radio for continuing coverage of the space race. And of course, visit Bloomberg.com for 24/7 news and analysis. I'm Alex Steele.
And I'm Ed Ludlow.
This is Bloomberg.